You're seeing, of course, I think Shankar Mahadevan there, singers, of course, there are 50 artists who are out there. Let's quickly listen into what he's singing and then let's come back to this conversation.
गणित अमित छवि नवनील नीरद सुंदरम पटपीत मानव तडित शुचि शुचि नौमि जनक सुतावरम श्रीराम 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 भज दीन बंधु दिनेश दानव दैत वंश निकंदनो भज दीन बंधु दिनेश दानव दैत्य वंश निकंदनम रघुनंद आनंद कंद कौशल चंद दशरथ श्रीरामचंद्र कृपालु भजमन हरण भव भय दारुणो शिरमुकुट कुंडल तिलक चारु उदारु अंग विभूषण श्री राम.
Okay, we're just waiting for the Prime Minister to arrive. He's going to arrive any minute. I want to take quick last thoughts and then after that just let's listen to it, what's happening. Quick last thoughts, Rabindra Sachdev. In this moment, what is the modern Indian state?
Great question. I was thinking, we are talking Ram Rajya. Ram Rajya is not only good governance, I think it also should include and does include good citizenry. So probably what this indicates and heralds is that, good citizenry by all citizens of the country also, along with a good governance, which combined brings around Ram Rajya, peace, prosperity, progress, and spreads this not only within India, spreads it globally, because as earlier we were discussing, the world of today needs, in this world of today, nobody is talking peace, big picture, the future, coexistence. Right now, every nation and every, aspect is about, I am stronger than you, I have more muscle than you, I have more weapons than you.
Yes.
What India should bring to the table of this world is that, guys, let's look at a bigger picture. It may not be achievable now, it may take long while, but always, like the US says, we are the beacon on the hill. Now maybe it's India's time
Okay.
to be a beacon on another
Okay,
hill.
free world, American values, Joyita Basu, what is then the free world? What is then Indian values, Ram Rajya values? What is now the modern Indian state?
Well, the modern Indian state is proudly Indian, proudly Bharatiya. You see, and the thing is that we do not have to look up to another civilization, although we have to express our gratitude for what we have learned from them. But the thing is, you see, the India also has a lot to teach to the world. And as someone mentioned, if it is not Vishwaguru, it is as Vishwamitra. The thing is, you see, India has a lot to offer, because when you are talking about being a nationalist, think of it in terms of the Western viewpoint, which is about supremacism. But in India, nationalism is a very different word. It is imbued with your culture, with your values. I think, I mean, when I look at the West and when I look at India, I think we can teach the world a lot, West particularly, in terms of Indian values. And that is what the Indian state is supposed to represent. It is Bharatiya, it is Indian.
Okay. So there is a thought process which is rising. And that thought process, ladies and gentlemen, is so imbued with suspicion. And the reason that is, and I'll give you the best example, the easiest to understand example. If you watch The Lord of the Rings, the darkness always rises in the east. The light is always in the west. It's just imbued into the psyche so deeply. And here we are to draw you a premise. And Dr. Rao, your quick last thought before the ceremony begins, that there is something else rising in the east. What is it? What are we? What are we representing today? Who are we?
Rising in the east forever. And we now represent the best of democracy and socialism. We have the social welfare state, which is not draining our budget in a way that, see, we have had a concept, especially among the Gujaratis, that you don't sit and fight between family members for a bigger slice of the same cake. Their concept has been get together and grow the size of the pie or the cake. And this is exactly what we are trying to teach the world.
Okay.
Instead of fighting with each other to get a bigger share of the natural assets and various other things, get together and grow it.
Okay.
Each one prospers, each one grows.
Okay.
And then you can afford social welfareism and you can bring up the poor. This
Okay.
is the prime example we are setting. And it is inclusive. It is not exclusive.
Okay,
we are not fighting each other.
Okay, Colonel Sodhi, it's an open-ended conversation. I'm not drawing conclusions, but for people watching all over the world, okay, who is India? Who is a modern Bharatiya?
Rishabh, India and every Indian today represents a country which is developing well, a country which is a big economic power, a country which is a reckonable military power, and a country which respects every religion, every culture. And on this pious and auspicious day, through your esteemed channel, I would request every Indian citizen and NRI to strive and work hard to make India a developed country by 2047.
Okay. On your screen, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we are just, you can see, and there you see the fulcrum. You have the biggest of Indian business on your screens over there, and people from all sorts of hues of service who have been around. 7,000 plus, the former Prime Minister there sitting up front, H.D. Devagowda. You all recognize, of course, Mukesh and Neeta Ambani. Sachin Tendulkar has come out to meet them. So yes, there are Rajnikant on your screens over there as this ceremony kicks off, all up there in the front row. Yeah, this is the family of India. They're all gathering day. So we are not, for many of us, comprehending it's difficult to comprehend, no? I totally understand why. The anticipation has been so long that when the actuality happens, you don't know what more can you do, okay? We're not understanding or comprehending how important this is fundamentally to a lot of people, okay? And yes, there will be some people who will chest thump, some people will become boisterous. But for the vast majority, it is a point of catharsis. So glad it's done, and we can move on to bigger, better things. It's also a point to figure out and redefine, and somebody has to write this down for us. It has to write it down for me, it has to write it down for you, so we can better understand. Who is the modern Bharatiya? Who are we? What do we represent? What should we represent? Who should we be? What should we aspire to? When we say Ram Rajya and don't really understand it and pretend, and if not pretend, at the very least and worst, are so confused about it that assume that it is something noxious, that it is something Hindu, that it is something majoritarian, devoid of the premise of good values that it is supposed to represent. A long journey is yet to be drawn. India is arriving and has not yet arrived. But the Ram temple for sure has arrived. It's a once in a history moment that is taking place. We were all part of it in our own small ways. We're all sharing in it in our own small ways. And the classical renaissance, the rediscovery of India, Punarjagran, is boards of good tidings to come. We're going to have many problems along the way, many things that need to get done. Let's take the opportunity to deal with them. But at least a major item that was searing and boiling, in fact, I won't even say searing and boiling, left to sear, deliberately made to boil for decades and decades and decades. You have a wound, keep gnawing at it, keep letting it fester, until it consumes the body whole, or come and cauterize it. And that cauterization, it just needed to happen. These things just needed to get done, and now they are getting done. We're about 20 odd minutes away from, or just about 30 odd minutes in fact, since the consecration ceremony is actually going to begin inside the temple. The people are of course gathered outside. They'll get a chance to view it. The main, remember, idol is inside as you're watching. This is the front of the temple as you're watching, as you climb up the stairs. It's longer than it is wide. It's roughly 2:1 ratio, and it's about 360 feet tall at the very tall of the highest dome, which is the Shikhar. Here it is seen from a different perspective of towards the right. You can see all the various dome constructions that have already been completed. This is all scaffolding just 3-4 days ago. They've done a good job in putting it together, setting up the screens, bedecking it in flowers, keeping it neat and clean. Even the roads leading up to this are neat and clean. Yes, of course, VIPs and dignitaries are coming, but I'm hoping it stays that way. So let's take the opportunity the most that we can. As soon as the ceremony starts, and it hasn't yet started, but as soon as it starts, we'll just let you watch it. And once you're done watching it, we'll come back. I'll also just like to watch it. And once we're done watching it, then we'll come back and have a further conversation on the significance. Let me just touch base quickly with everyone who's been discussing this with me as we are seeing beautiful shots. I've taken away our tickers so that you can actually watch it in its entirety. It gets all clogged up otherwise. Joyita, how do we this evening come back and retrospect, because in 2 hours this will be done, temple built, ready, good to go. Few days later, it will be open to devotees, it will be open to a lot of people from this evening onwards. So now it's done. Are we glad that it's just finished, that it's done? We've finished it for one thing which we needed to get done, we've just gotten it done.
I think we should, now that it is done, I think we should look at the future with humility, and we should make it all about inclusivity, because you see, this is a huge gaping wound that was there. It's a civilizational wound for the Hindu community. So now that it has been, filled, it is time to look forward with humility, with civility, with respect for fellow individuals, we have achieved what we wanted to achieve. So it is time to now look forward to a new world. Okay, Ram Rajya, if you want, even if it may not be possible, but the thing is that let us look at the future with hope, respect, and humility.
Okay, so let me then take on the extremely difficult to discuss issues. Let's take them on. We got a few minutes. Dr. Rao, for a modern Indian Hindu, okay, who has spent all his life apologetic for being Hindu, and is now saying that, okay, I don't need to be apologetic. I can be proud of who I am and where I come from and what faith I have. Doesn't make a difference where that is in the world. Now that this is done, okay, the Ram temple is built. What next? What is the next? Is it the next agenda then heading down towards Mathura and Kashi? Or, as Joyita is suggesting, one wound has been filled, okay, and that brings in a cauterization and therefore maturity and a sense of responsibility and a sense of grace.
Rishabh, if a patient has multiple wounds, we need to deal with all the wounds. We can't just say that one wound is over, now you go live your life. We have to deal with all the wounds. And it is true not only of India, it is true of the world. You have been talking repeatedly, you have been bringing up the Jerusalem story. Now, there are many wounds and these need to be healed, and it's not possible to heal wounds unless people of all from both sides or multiple sides of a sore, a persisting problem, don't come together and sort it out. And I feel the way this problem, this major problem has been solved is an example to not only Bharat, but also to the rest of the world, that there should be easier, peaceful, mutually acceptable methods of solving all these sores. So we need to heal the whole body and not be happy that we have managed to heal one wound.
So
370 was one wound. This is another wound which has been solved. Naxalism, the Northeast extremism, the caste conflicts, these are all problems that we need to solve. And the Mathura problem, the various other such issues. I, as a child, had traveled across India and seen so many places where these kind of old devastation and violence symbols persist. So we need to mutually get together and live. We are living in this world is the only place we have, and even things like climate issues and other issues have to be mutually done. It is not a question of I am strong, I am going to impose my rule on everyone.
Okay.
It is
All right.
Ram
Okay.
Rajesh, we will live together.
Okay, so Dr. Rao, for it's been a issue, okay, and let me address the issue and from a different angle, okay. I understand from the point of view of a few individuals, people who were in the Babri Action Committee and a few others, whose entire lives and livelihoods and careers and income and literally existence was dependent upon keeping this issue alive. So I understand their motivation to do so, okay? Because if your entire life is dependent upon one issue, it's like a lawyer, no? The day the issue gets solved, the property dispute gets solved, you no longer get paid for the hearing, okay? So the interest in the lawyers sorting out the case might not have been there, or the interest in certain parties might not have been there. But the premise was drawn that that is representative of the Muslim voice in India. That is a core issue equally for Muslims. So misrepresentation was done, no different from the misrepresentation which the British ruled us for a long period of time. But now that we've gotten past it, however we've gotten past it, Dr. Rao, okay? What is the engagement? Can we have a truth and reconciliation conversation between Hindus and Muslims in this country? Can Muslims come and say that, yes, indeed, during the Middle Ages, people like Ghazni and Ghori came and Aurangzeb came and they did nasty things. That wasn't us, but we accept they did nasty things. And if you guys are rebuilding your temples, great, excellent, good for you. And then can Hindus come and say that as we are building this new country, We are building it together and we are going to do all these things together. So this is not a threat to you. We're going to build an equally grand mosque down the road. Can we have that conversation, or is it still too soon?
No, we can have that. I fully agree. That is the way forward. And if it is not all Muslims, it is only some Muslims who, for their own selfish reasons, are saying this, have been preventing this, and they now need to see what the Saudis and the other Arabs are doing. After all, this is religion originated from the Arab lands. It is and has Arab culture connected to it. If the Arabs can accept the construction of temples, accept other religions, and allow someone like Smriti Irani to walk around without Arab dress but Indian dress representing Indian culture, I'm sure there is a bright future ahead. And all the misinformation that is being now swept away and clarity being brought to the thought that we are in it together.
Okay.
And we need to prosper together.
Okay, Rabinder Sachdev, now here we are, okay? And I raise this point in the temples that have just been built here, or in the roadways. Before this, it was Atal Setu inauguration. Before that, it was a dry dock inauguration in Kochi, or it was Vande Bharat Express, or it was the Sankalp Yatras of so many people who are beneficiaries of various schemes that are taking place, that the Prime Minister has been doing the tours in the past few weeks. Amidst all of this, have we found credibility to suggest that this is Hindu majoritarianism at work?
No, I don't think so at all. It's not Hindu majoritarianism at work. Yeah, sure. See, whatever is at work in India will be colored and flavored much with Hinduism or our culture. So I wouldn't look at anything like that in this. Secondly, another thing on Ram Rajya and all these things which are happening, which you say, various infrastructures being built, fair enough. It's the idea of a society which is a just society. We have justice. That's the challenge for us overall, for our leaders, that the India as it goes forth, and it's not only about religions, various ethnicities or whatever, be it common citizens within each other, to deliver, to create a society which is more just. That's a challenge for us, no doubt.
Okay.
And that's what we are working. And one last thing, you mentioned that what do we take more? I think another deep element here is spirituality. There's a lot of element of spirituality which is being exhibited here. And that's what, again, India brings to the world, the idea of a more spiritual life.
It seems philosophical, but ladies and gentlemen, it's true, okay? Think for a second. Yes, we have to deal with, salaries and businesses and life and death and all the issues of the day. But think about it. We spend most of our lives struggling with ourselves, who we are, what we are doing, where we come from, where we go, what hurts us, what offends us, what makes us happy. Just this discovery. Your entire life is spent like this. Okay? So, if I can take a more wide-ranging interpretation of spirituality in figuring all of this out, in figuring who you are, and this applies to individuals as it does to countries, as it does to civilizations. Who are you? And the reason I'm having this wide-ranging, flowing, some would say over-the-top conversation, is because we need to have it. We need to figure out who we now are. Okay? We are different today than we were 50 years ago. We are different today than we were 100 years ago. We are different in many better ways. But if we don't have this conversation, we might make errors in the future, which we have fought so hard to build for ourselves. It's been so painful. For a lot of people, I can pretty much say for everyone sitting with me today, just the feeling, the temptation that you could leave it all behind and find greener pastures abroad. And for those who stuck it out and know you have to sit here and build a better country, yes, observe, yes, appreciate, but build it, knowing full well that you are more than capable of doing it. So yes, you can create a beautiful temple, it can be neat and clean, There can be no plastic and green buses, and the who's who are all gathered in perfect sanguinity and safety in reasonably cold weather, and you can put on a grand show and be proud of it without offending anyone, at the same time enjoying a boisterous party without being arrogant. All of these things are indeed possible. So now let me then address the question with Joyita. Joyita, back at you. Now, in the larger conversation that should be and must be had, who then is the modern Indian Muslim? I've asked you Indian, I've asked you Hindu, then who then is the modern Indian Muslim?
Well, let us hope the modern Indian Muslim is also as accommodating as the modern Indian Hindu, because modern Indian Hindus are very accommodating. The modern Indian Muslim takes pride in the fact of in being Indian. The modern Indian Muslim should not let go of his or her tradition, her faith, her belief, and this country, and should acknowledge that this division that is there, that has been created to a large extent politically, and it has been happening right from the time of the British. I mean, it is basically political. It is time to move ahead. I'm going to use the word respect, mutual respect. Respect has to be from both sides. And I think when you are looking at the modern Indian Muslim, I think it is already there. I mean, and of course, there are problems within every community. The Muslim community also has major problems. It is time to, recognize that and try and cure that. And don't live in fear, because there is nothing to fear.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.